showing some ways you can work in small spaces. I'm going to show you a workaround that I did for some of the challenges of indoor building. I want to create a health setting within this van, but the problem is every time I try to move things within the van, it becomes very difficult. So I made a simple box and I made it to be the shape and size of the van's floor. And I then moved it out so that what I'm going to do is put these items on the van, on the platform, and then remove the platform and bring the van over it. So first of all, I want to show you, I just downloaded one of my toilets, and when I use the wheel, I can show what orientation I'm putting things in. And it's smart to just stick to north, east, south, and west. And so I'm going to put this in a west orientation. And now carefully, I'll pull this red thing to move it over a little bit. And the block itself, now I'm pressing Control on the keyboard, is also oriented towards the west so that I can keep these lined up. I've opened my inventory and you can see now I want to bring out a hospital bed. And okay, it's sort of in the wrong location here, so I'm using Alt and I'm coming in so you can see better what I'm doing. And I'll move this out of the way. Now my hospital bed, I'm right-clicking on it, clicking Edit, and you can see it's got a seating position in it. I'm clicking and dragging it away a little bit, but I'm now going to hold Control on the keyboard, and I'll get back my wheel, and I'll first of all be sure that I'm orienting the hospital bed in the right direction. Let me close this so it's out of the way. I'm going to orient the hospital bed in the right direction, and I may want to even make this one go north, but the important thing is to keep it on the grid structure. Okay, so I'll put this here, and I'm going to put some other curtains in later. Now, you could possibly simply pull out another version of this, but I have found that you can have problems because this has to sit on it. So I'm going to go back into my inventory and bring out another one. I've continued to pull things out of inventory. Here's the sink, and let me close this. I want to hit Control on the keyboard to get my wheel around, and I'm going to orient this one going towards the west so it's lined up nice and carefully. But my issue here is this sink really needs to be flush against the wall, and I might have to adjust that when I actually move the van over these. So something like that will need further adjustment inside, but you don't want to leave it so you have too many things that you have to adjust in a tight space. Now I brought this table in and I'm putting on the wheel, but this time I want this to be a little bit catty corner. So I'm just going to, I could go against one of these wheel spokes, or I just kind of angled it and moved it back. Well, I want to put a chair in here too. So not all adjustments have to be against the grid, but if you have things you really want to line up, it's a good idea to put them against the grid. I brought in a chair too and adjusted that. It's going to be at a bit of an angle. Now, the way I have this set up is so that when the patients come in, they'll be coming in through the stairs here. They're not going to have a lot of room to navigate. They'll be checking in. They'll be using a hospital bed. They'll have access to toilet facilities. And I'm trying to align this. Let me see if I could pull this over so you can see it a little bit better, with where these things are going to be on the van itself. Once I have the items in about the area I want them to, I'm now going to click on my van and I'm going to bring it over these items. And if you remember, I deliberately put in these items to be at about the height where I think they need to be inside the van. And I'm pulling the van over, and you will have to do this a little bit. You can see the hospital beds are still outside. I'm going to click and drag this over, and I'll get my wheels to show. Let me get the hospital beds inside. And when I've done that, I can now walk in and see what needs to be adjusted. I'll walk into the van and see what I need to change, and let me go in, and you'll see now I have things pretty well set up. But it's, if you recall, I said that the sink itself really needs to be flush against the wall. So let's see how you can adjust something while it's in here. And you'll notice even now it's going to be hard. I will now pull it back to the wall. Generally, I wait till it disappears, pull it out again. You can make adjustments. And now I have the items in the area where I want them, and I can click on this red shape that I made. Let me make sure I'm clicking on the right thing. Yeah, it looks like the shape. And now I'm pressing delete on the keyboard so that it goes away. And now, whoops, you can see when I was scrolling in and out, some of the things still probably need some adjustment, but now I have most of the things fit within the van, and it's a lot easier to do it this way. The problem now is that the items are not part of the van. So if I move the van, I won't necessarily bring those items with me. So I can click to edit to move to get the items in the van itself selected. But remember, the items are not selected. So while I hold Shift on the keyboard, I'm clicking outside the space itself and dragging a box around this. And as I do that, I'm highlighting areas in the van. If you look, I was actually highlighting more than I wanted to. I was pulling up a tree in the side. So I back out to highlight just these areas. And then I can go up to Tools. I'll bring this down so you can see where I'm going. I'm going up to Tools at the top, and I can choose to link everything. Now, once everything is linked, though, I should go back to the General tab, and it's remembering one of the chairs. I'm going to call this the van with hospital equipment, so that I now can use this as one piece of artifact. Now, if I unlink it, it will unlink all the small pieces, the wheels and everything. So you've now created something that's going to be hard to modify, but you do have the pieces. You can do that later. And I tend to always click here to be sure that everything's actually been saved. As with all good work, I should right-click on it, go to More, and take a copy. So I have this new van in my inventory, and I can pull this one out, and it will be fully equipped. Be creative as you work around the excitement and the challenges of building.